My name is Mary Ann Bradley, and I'm the Registrar in the College of Communication and Information Sciences. I am proud and honored to be able to introduce you to Ms. Hannah Stevens, one of my favorite students and one of the Tide's biggest fans. I've known Hannah for the past several years, and I've enjoyed her stories and her experiences as a sign girl. The University of Alabama family will definitely miss that painted face and the biggest and brightest smile ever. With a great future in front of you and great memories behind you and a big Roll Tide, I now give you Miss Hannah Stevens.
Hello, my name's Hannah. I am a senior and a sports broadcasting major. Before we get started, I know a lot of y'all are like, why am I wearing this? And everyone else is going to be dressed up, but I figure what better way to show who I am than show who I am. So if you know me, you know I'm a crazy fan, and that's kind of what I've done in college. I prayed when I came to college that God would just show me a way to I could stand out and network and just be who I really am. And so that's how this came about. So I'm going to share a story, background, how I got to be Sign Girl, and then that's going to go into my revolutionary idea of how to use your passions for networking. So, go ahead. My first picture is, this is actually, I was probably 8 or 9. This is at a very old football game. Big Al still looks the same now as he did then. And this is kind of like, I grew up my two parents in the audience are huge Bama fans. I want to think this is not true, but I'm pretty sure one of my first words were Roll Tide. And I just was so passionate about football. My parents both are Alabama football fans, and that just kind of set in tone how I would get here today. You go ahead. When I was all the way middle school and elementary school, I lived in Alabama until end of 7th grade. My family moved to school in Washington. Now, if you know anything about Washington, you know it's in the Pac-12. And if you know anything about the Pac-12, they're not good at football, okay? And so I stuck with Alabama football. I wore it all the time. I was a huge Alabama football fan, even though everyone was Washington Cougar and Washington Husky fans, although they both stunk. So anyway, these are pictures that just kind of show who I was in high school. My dad was one of our football coaches, and I was on the leadership team at our school. I was in leadership class, and I kind of helped set in tone how spirited I'd become. Now, I know you're looking at that as purple and gold, and I promise you I'm not just for LSU, never have, never will. Those were our high school colors, and they didn't know anything about football, like I said, so they didn't know about LSU. But these pictures kind of show who I was in high school and how I would set in stone today. In high school, there were 3 key things about me that I think are still into me today. I'm passionate about. One is my faith in God. The second one is an athlete. I've always been an athlete. The third one is being a fan. And so when I came to high school, I was just so into everything. I was in every club. I tried out for every sport. I really wanted to try out for football, but my mom and dad would let me. So I really did want to try every single sport, and that just kind of set in stone who I was. So when I came to college, I tried out for the rowing team, because at Alabama there's this really cool thing where if you want to do rowing, it's the only D1 sport at the University of Alabama where you can actually learn to do it while you're in college. So when I came to college, I had that void because I wasn't scholarship. If you see how tall I am, I was a basketball player. And you can imagine me playing Alabama basketball wasn't going to go well with me being 5'2". And so I had to find another way to fill that void, so that's when rowing came about. So rowing was a really cool opportunity for me to meet people. The Bryan Hall is where I would get tutored, and I would go after class to get help. And that's where I met a lot of my friends who play softball. One, my best friend's actually playing right now. And I've met a lot of football players, baseball players, and that's kind of how I started wanting to show them support. So the second picture you see is actually at a softball game that my friend was pitching at, and this is the very first sign I ever made being a sign girl. And it was one of those cool things where Roll Tide roll, yay, Roll Tide roll. But now as I got older, they got more clever, obviously. You can go ahead and go on to the next slide. Sophomore year is when I became more loyal. Freshman year, I was very involved in going to sports, painting up, showing school spirit, but I still feel like there was something missing. I still feel like I could be more loyal, more passionate like I was in high school. Because in high school, every single Friday, I wore the exact same outfit and painted my body the exact same every single Friday football game. I'd wear it on the field, I'd wear it to the pep rallies, wear it traveling, wherever we went, I was wearing the outfit. So sophomore year, I did the same thing. I went to a basketball game, And that's where the script day came about. I just went to a basketball, I don't have the picture for that, sorry. But it was one of those things where I had all my 6 friends. We were so pumped to go to this game. We were going to spill like some Alabama or Bama or something. And everyone backed out but me. I was like, y'all brought me to this basketball game. I'm going to paint my face. And we tried to think of something that I could paint on my face that would look weird. And we tried to spell Roll Tide and it just looked like weird, like war paint. So then we were like, the script day, like one person can wear that. So I did. And that's how the A started. So now we're in sophomore year. I have my group of friends, you know, I'm in Bryant Stadium every Saturday for the football games, but once again, like, I still want to do more. So this is how the signs became more clever. This sign was one that I really, really liked because if you see Roe Cardinal, that's Stanford. And if you know Stanford, you know they beat Oregon, the Pac-12 team, the last 2 years in a row. And this was the year that we had to have these 3 teams beat the opposite team so we can actually begin to go national championship again, which had happened 2 years, you know, Roll Tide. So that sign was like the first one ever made. And you can keep going. And then junior, senior. These are where I think are my favorite years in college. I think these are where and when you're in college, like you really get to meet your friends. Like you really hopefully know who you are by junior and senior. And by this time, people think I'm crazy, but I'm like, you know what, that's true, I'm crazy. I love Alabama football, so we're gonna go with that. So I accepted that as one of my things people know about me. So these are just some pictures, collage of my junior and senior year. I started going to the games all the games were early. Like, you know, some of them would be in the early morning, some of the night, but I would always line up hours and hours and hours early. And let me tell you, I came here fall of 2010, and I remember we had to line up hours early to even get a lower bowl seat. And that was like a really cool thing. Like, I'm doing like, people would line up early. They would like camp out the night before. And when sophomore year came, it was just like, that evaporated. Like, no one wanted to do that. And I was like, well, I did this all last year. I'm gonna keep doing it. So I kept doing it. And as I got older, it just became one of those things where a few people started doing it, but most people didn't. I think the longest I ever sat outside was 22 hours before a game started. And that was because I thought that people were gonna get in line. I'm really paranoid. A little short story. When I went to New Orleans for the Sugar Bowl this year, I was really nervous all night that like people would get in line at like 1 a.m. and I would not get the front row seat or like not get to be in my particular seat. So I woke up at like 3:30 in the morning. Actually, I never went to bed, if we're being honest. And it was 3:30 in the morning and I sat up in bed. I was like, I'm gonna have to go to the stadium. So I'm walking in New Orleans. I like, okay, my mom's looking at me like, oh gosh, I forgot she was here, so I probably should have said that. But okay, it was like 5 o'clock, okay? And I'm walking down to New Orleans, but people were, you know, like people were going to work and stuff, so our hotel was about probably 3/4 of a mile from the stadium. So I get to the stadium, that's the point. The coolest thing, Mom, you can breathe, is that there were people prayer walking around the stadium. They do that every day for like 2 hours. They prayer walk around the stadium and stuff. And this time, I think they thought I was homeless because I'm in this outfit. I wear this every single game, and I'm in this. I have a jacket. It's just a little hot in here, and I wore this outfit, and I'm sitting in front of like the ticket booths, and this woman came up to me, and I had the headphones in, and she's like, "Do you need food?" And I was like, I'm not homeless, but I'll be glad to take some food. I mean, college kids love food, okay? So anyway, that's just one of those weird little stories that now I'm embarrassed myself in front of everyone. So that's one thing that you have to know about me is I'm really quirky and I'm really passionate. You know, like whatever part of life it is, like if I love my friends, I'm gonna show them I love them. Like, you know, if I wish I did that more to school because I graduate in 9 days and I just have senioritis. Like it is just one of those things where I look at these papers and I'm like, if there's like a paper dance, you know, the rain dance make it rain, I'll be glad to make the paper write itself. Like whatever I have to do, let it do it. Anyway, we can keep going. Now we're at senior year, and this is where we are this year, and this is where I really feel like this is where God kind of showed me how I could use my passion for networking. So this is a sign I made during the Alabama versus Tennessee game, and it says, "Stay on, stay for 60 if you stay forever." Now some people still don't understand this, and that's okay, I'm gonna explain it. 60 minutes is in a football game, so Saban will stay for 60 because he got onto us that we didn't stay for 60 at all. I did, some people didn't, but whatever. Anyway, if you stay forever, at this point, Miss Saban had been allegedly shopping for land in Texas. If you know her, she shops everywhere. She shops all over the country for land because that's what Miss Saban does, I guess. So anyway, so at this point, I was really struggling for a sign because I've made clever signs all season. I'll show you this one real quick. I'll hang it up that I forgot. This is one I made, and it says, what do Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss, and the U.S. government have in common? What does it say? See? Okay, see? And that was the week after we beat Ole Miss. That was the week the government was shut down. And that was the week Lane Kiffin lost his job, which is really ironic. He's here now. So this sign just really was the one that kind of got noticed. I made this sign, like I said, the Tennessee Alabama game. And Tracy Wolfson, if you know who she is, she's a CBS reporter. She came over there and took a picture of my sign and was like, hey, like, can I, like, get your name? And I was like, sure, cool. So by the time the game was over, I didn't know it, but it had already gone viral, like the sign had. And my phone had died, because if you're in Bryant Denny Stadium, your phone just evaporates battery. Like, you can have 100%, by the time the kickoff is, like, done. So that's kind of what happened. And so after the game, I didn't have any way to get in contact with people. I'm an RA presidential, and so I was on my little trek home, and when I got to my dorm, I got on my laptop, and there were like a million notifications. And like, I knew it was my birthday, and I knew that like something must have happened wrong or good, because I like people, but like, I don't get that many notifications. So I look on, and the first one I see, his name's Justin Justin Kreisler. And it said, hey, like, we saw your sign, we'd love to, like, help you get a fan page. I was like, a fan page? What are you talking about? So then I see a little thing that someone had posted, and by this time people were telling me, like, Nick Saban talked about your sign at the press conference. And I think that was, like, really cool, because basically Eli Gold said to Saban after the game, he's like, Saban, I saw a clever sign in the student section that read, Saban will stay for 60, be stay forever. How's it sound to you? And he went, Nick Saban laughed, and said, sounds like a deal to me, okay? Actually, was probably like, sounds like a deal to me. But anyway, it was really cool, and that blew up. And so this is where this whole revolution idea started. Keep going. Throughout the rest of this semester, these really cool opportunities happened. I was in USA Today. It says top 5 college fan bases. And yeah, we're number 1, so roll tide to that. Number 2 was I was in Sports Illustrated. And if you read Sports Illustrated, I know you're seeing those blue lines and it says not. Like, like hot, not. I know I'm in the not. But it was talking about how, like, we've been struggling to get, like, the students to stay for 60, which is honestly a big problem. So that was really cool. And you can keep going. But the coolest thing that really happened, I think, is the people I got to meet and the opportunities that arose. What happened is, by this time I had a fan page, people were like being really awesome, and a woman at our church, my old church back home, gave me a free Iron Bowl ticket, and people were like chipping in money to like travel, make me go for free to New Orleans, which is amazing, because like literally, I get to spend all my money on food and beignets, okay? So, this was actually in the locker room at the Sugar Bowl, and it was like the little mural, like where the guys were in the locker room, and my dad's friend is one of the policemen, sheriffs that protect Nick Saban from when someone's going to come at him. And so this was on the mural, and he sent me a picture of this, and I was just like, I literally was like tears of joy. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm on this thing, and I'm really upset now because I thought that was like a little like plaster thing. It was like a little like piece of weird glue thing. I couldn't take it off the wall, and so it's not with me anymore. But I was really upset because I thought I could take it anyway. And then this one, Auburn. I really don't like Auburn. I'm sure if there's an Auburn fan in here, I'm sorry I've offended you by now, but I really don't. And so that was like Auburn, you're next. And then I was just at the Sugar Bowl, but you can keep going. But the real thing is the people I got to meet and the opportunities that rose because of this. Like I said before, I'm a sports broadcasting major. So in a minute you're going to see a picture of Reese Davis, but he kind of set in stone to us when he came and spoke, because he graduated from Bama, that you want to separate yourself from your resume. You want to have your name, like you want people to connect a face to your name instantly and be able to be like, oh, she's applying, we know who she is. And so these are cool people I got to meet. Kirk Herbstreit, Nick Saban, all these people that like were just really cool, like influences. Kirk Herbstreit is like really cool. Like I just think he's like the coolest thing that's ever happened to ESPN. And this had a Sugar Bowl, and by this point we lost. It was really upsetting, but he made it a little bit better. And then Nick Saban, I got the opportunity to go meet him. He signed my poster, and it was really cool just to get that experience. Like it's like Nick Saban. Okay, literally, like it's like. I'm trying to think of someone for like normal people that aren't just football. But if you're like Frozen, it's like if you go to Disney World and the girl, that's a Disney character, right? She comes up to you and you're like, oh my gosh, it's the girl off Frozen. Alright, so to the main point of this talk. These are the few people that inspired me the most. Reese Davis, like I said, came before. He talked to me about sports broadcasting. He talked to me about setting myself apart. And that's kind of how football kind of evolved to being a way for me to network. And Tracy Wolfson was one that I'm continually in contact with her, like through Twitter. In other ways, like we still have a cool relationship. Like she's been helping me find jobs. She's been helping like tell me like when they're opening and stuff like that. So it's been a really cool opportunity to get to know these people. And so that's why I speak here today. one of my friends here is a nursing major, and I know that if you're a nursing major, like you have to be, like you cannot really set yourself apart much ways. You have to take certain classes, you have to make certain grades, you have to follow certain protocol. But there are some people in here of you that are not in that major that can do stuff to set yourself apart. So that's what I'm here to kind of talk about today. I'll give you an example. One of my friends, Nathaniel, he goes to UAH. He's like a space and rocket lover, I guess. I was gonna say nerd, but that's kind of not nice. But anyway, he loves it. And so his friends came up with this little like space shuttle rocket, not a space shuttle, that's big, but like a little thing that floats in space. And so they set off, and it like NASA accepted it. And like he's like a freshman in college, right? Like it's really cool. So now like when he's like gotten all these opportunities, and like it was just something his friends want to do. He really wanted to have a way to set himself apart. So that's kind of what I'm here to talk about y'all today. Is just like you have the ability to like set yourself apart in college. Each and every one of you are in a demanding field. You know, like when we're graduating, like we're at a part in our economy. There you go. I was gonna say economic failure, but that's true. But anyway, so we're in a place like in this economy where like it's hard to get a job, and you want to be able to set yourself apart in ways it means you can. And I think a lot of times that when we're in college, we're so worried about our grades and we're so worried about like who we're becoming that sometimes we need to be worried about where we're going. And I know like that's just something that like scares a lot of people, but like I just want to encourage y'all that you can be different. Be who you are. Every one of them have a passion. There's gonna be musicians tonight that are like very good at what they do. You know, they're also in college, they're also in school, but they have that set apart differently. So don't be afraid to go out of your way, or don't be afraid to like if someone wants to like be a sign girl next year, come up to me afterwards. I'd love to like get you started, because like I graduate in 9 days. I'm gonna come to as many baby games as possible next year, but homegirl's gotta go to big girl job, and I was not gonna be everyone. So anyway, I'm saying like you just have to be able to set yourself apart. So I know a lot of y'all in here are probably not gonna want to do sign girl, but that's okay. But or I could have a sign boy. That could be cool. Sign boy. Okay, y'all guys want to be too. But anyway, just be willing to set yourself apart. You know, be weird. I wear this in my face. I tell you a true story. One time I went to a Bama softball game, and it was like July. Not only did I get sun poisoning, but you see where this is red? It was so sunburned the next day that it was white. And I had church the next morning, and I didn't notice it because like I just. See, that's how everyone reacts at church. And so I get to church, and like this elderly woman kept looking at me. I'm like I'm wearing a dress. Like, I mean, that's kind of weird in itself. I'm wearing a dress. But anyway, people looking at me, and I go into the bathroom, and I realize that like literally this A is on my face, and it's white. Like my face is red and it's white. It looks like a painted white paint. And I know I offended everyone. I probably looked so, you know, sacrilegious in church, and I apologize. But like anyway, that's what I'm saying. Like be willing to be weird, because sometimes weirdness is actually the norm. You know, in college, it's like you got to be accepting of who you are. You have to love who you are, because if you don't love who you are, no one else is going to. So I'm gonna leave you with that. I just want y'all to know that like in college is a really cool experience. Be willing to get out of your shell. Be willing to get out of your little clique of people and meet other people. Bryant Denny Stadium is a great way to do that, because there's 101,000 awesome people in that stadium that love the same thing you do. Actually, I guess that'd be about 98,000, because some of those other people for other teams. But anyway, you have to be willing to meet those people, get out of your shell, and just be willing to just impact other people. And so that's kind of like, this is more something that like I did. I wanted y'all to know my motivations, because a lot of people think I did this for like fame or success, but I did this because that's who I was in high school. I've always been passionate. I've always been loyal to my teams, and that's just something that kind of manifested in college in ways that I could network. So whatever your major, whatever your goals, whatever you're passionate about, be who you are, and you never know what will come from it. Thank you.